welcome back to another episode of
The Fuzzy Pod.
Oh my goodness, are we so excited for this episode? But before we jump in, Megan, I want to hear about your weekend just real quick because you had a fun little weekend.
Oh, we're doing a weekend recap.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
I love it.
I'm being spontaneous here. I didn't tell her I was going to do this. I'm just putting her on the spot. But I feel like I'm always talking about my weekends.
So I finally did something exciting. I went to the mountains this weekend. I had a little mountain getaway. We went.
She's a mountain goat.
A mountain girl. You say mountain goat?
Yeah.
I thought you did. Mountain girly. I prefer over goat, but please. I went to Asheville, North Carolina this weekend with some friends. We do like this annual trip with some of our besties every year. And this year we went to the Smoky Mountains. We went hiking, ate lots of food.
Heck yeah.
Stayed in a cool cabin with a hot tub, which
And a VHS tape collection.
I love a hot tub. A huge VHS collection at this Airbnb. But the craziest part of all is actually on me because I would put, the same movie in every night. And that was E.T. I'd watch about 5 minutes of it and fall asleep.
She was trying to face her fears.
I think I watched a total of about 30 minutes of E.T.
And what did you think of those 30 minutes?
You know what? You said something about along the lines that I was trying to face my fears. And yes, this is true. You may not know this, but E.T. was a great fear of mine as a child, which makes a lot of sense. It's pretty, suspenseful and ominous in the beginning as they're like revealing like, what is this creature? Like, who is he? And he just has these long little spindly fingers that he wraps around things before you fully see him. And he screams like this. Excuse me 1 second, backing off the mic.
Does he really? I literally have no memory of that movie.
And, so I understand why I was terrified of this like little bald monkey alien.
Yeah, like what is he? Like he literally, I mean, obviously he's an alien, but like he just is such an odd shape.
Yeah, he's got kind of like...
Not to body shame.
Not to body shame. He's got like a potato head. His eyes, are kind of like really widespread. And he has a stomach that glows, a finger that glows, really long little spindly
He's kind of got a beer
hands.
belly.
Yeah. He looks like a bald monkey with like a really big potato head.
I love that for him.
But you know what? It wasn't as scary as I thought. And something about practical effects in movies is so charming, honestly.
Yes. Uh-huh.
That a part of me was like, is he kind of cute? Like, is he like adorable, actually? Is E.T. adorable?
Wait, is E.T. hot?
No. Wait, is he like actually super sexy? Wait.
Is E.T. sexy?
Wait, no. I mean, like...
No. Wait. Unless. Hear me out.
Oh, yeah.
This is my hear me out, okay? Is E.T. sexy?
Hear me
All right,
out.
look, those long fingers,
Please.
Just imagine those spindly fingers around you.
Please. What is his age? He's cute, though. Like, it wasn't...
He's wrinkly. He's got to be old.
Maybe.
Or moisturizing.
Poor skincare. Is that what you're going
yeah.
with? All the space travel has been so bad for him. The exposure
really dries you out.
To the UV rays.
All the UVs. He's actually only like 3.
But he's not that scary. Okay, he's really not that terrifying.
Yeah, you're into it. You're like, he's cute. He's a little cutie pie.
He's kind of cute, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to watch more than 30 minutes. But thankfully, it was in a VCR that had like an automatic rewind.
Oh, heck yeah.
So every time I would fall asleep, it'd be ready for me, the next morning.
Be kind, rewind.
Yeah, and I would just fast forward like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15. Eventually, I watched about 30 minutes.
I'm really proud of you.
So that was my weekend in Asheville.
You did some thrifting, of course.
Went to a thrift store where everything was $4.
It's insane, you guys.
This dress, $4. It's a little big. I'm trying to adjust it right now. Don't worry about it.
She got me a purse for $4.
I got her a purse from Ralph Lauren for $4.
Yeah.
I got so many things. I got a shirt that if she didn't want, I was going to take. I was like...
She's still trying to take it from me.
I texted it to her and I was like, I want to get you something from the thrift store. She's like, I need shirts. And I was like, okay, I'm going to find my sister's shirts. And then here's the thing. We have a lot of crossover with our personal style.
It's true.
And so this was like an item that could go either way.
Yeah.
But I really wanted you to have it. But then I kept looking at it and I was like, that is cute. But we're sisters.
We'll share, yeah.
We'll share.
We live close.
We always share.
I did thrift you a dress a few weeks ago.
Oh, a fire dress. I owed you.
I also want to
borrow?
Steal.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course you can.
I was like, we were making the joke of like, we've talked about this before, just how funny it is to like thrift with someone who has similar style than you.
Yes.
Or similar style to you.
Yes.
Because you're like, you're just like, oh, that's cute. You sure you want that? Yeah. Like, you sure you like that?
You sure you like that?
Yeah.
You should truly go thrifting with either by yourself or a friend that
Has completely
has
different taste.
completely different taste and style than you.
We do pretty good. I mean, yeah, because we have a different enough taste that there's certain
Yes.
things that it's like
But if you have similar taste and you wear like similar clothing sizing,
Mhm.
then just go by yourself.
Just get a new friend.
Get a new friend. She's just staring at you. I'm like, I'm never going thrifting with you again. We do a good job though.
Yeah.
'Cause
We usually separate. That's
Yes.
the key. You got to separate because then you don't
Yes.
see what you're missing.
And sometimes you grab something that you think is you're
Yes,
going to
that's-
love,
Yeah.
and then it just works for the other person better.
It's true.
Go thrifting.
Save the earth.
Save the earth. Buy secondhand. How was your weekend?
Oh, you don't really have to ask me about my weekend. I was just watching your dogs.
Yeah, Maddie watched my dogs for me all weekend long, and they are something.
I love them.
I love them too.
It's just we were outnumbered. It's just me and Ted versus 4 dogs.
Oh yeah.
That's just gonna be chaos. I don't know. That's your life.
Yeah.
It's like the 2 of you against 3 dogs.
They have their quirks. They all have their
They
quirks.
all have their quirks. We were recapping each dog's quirk because
Yeah, we
they're
could
just
get
quirky girlies.
we could get into it, but we really
won't.
We won't because we have so much to talk about today. Maddie, we haven't even talked about what we're doing today.
I know. Speaking of great cinema, as E.T. is, right? I mean, you've watched 30 minutes of it. We are doing another movie recap this week. And guess what? You guys got to vote on this one. So if you're mad about it, sorry. But we're recapping Aquamarine today, which was just such a formative movie for us when we were kids. Like,
oh my goodness.
the amount of times we watched this movie, and spoiler alert, it still holds up. But Aquamarine is about these 2 best friends. It's the end of summer. Haley and Claire are trying to soak up the last few days together before Haley moves away. And they get into some trouble because they find themselves in a little bit of an adventure together when a mermaid washes ashore. And they have to help this mermaid prove that love exists. And they have to do all of this in 3 days. So a lot happens in between. And I think we should just jump on in.
Before we move on, just for our visual watchers, we do have pink highlights in our hair today because one staple that we'll talk about more in Aquamarine is blue highlights. And here's the thing. We thought we had fake blue highlights on hand. We didn't, but we do have pink ones. So we're just going to roll with it.
And like we said, we're thrifty girls. We weren't going to go out and
buy more
hair clips when we had pink ones.
Yes, these perfectly great pink ones. So
also, the pink just matches the aesthetic more. It's fine.
It's all about, the spirit of it, right?
It's all about the journey.
It's about the journey. Maddie, what journey did the girls go on?
All right, so let's just set the scene. We start out, we're on the beach, and Haley and Claire are there just enjoying the beach, enjoying just friendship, and they're reading all of the best teeny bopper magazines because they're trying to figure out how are we going to impress this haughty lifeguard, okay? They're both 13. He's 18, so he's an older man, mature. And we're going to use all these, Cosmo Girl 17 magazine quizzes and pro tips on trying to figure out how to impress the haughty lifeguard Raymond. Now, I don't know about you, but Raymond was never attractive to me.
Raymond was not like my type, even as a young adult. I was never really into Raymond, but the girls they loved him. He was the classic, giving like California kin with the shaggy hair, buff and tan.
Yeah, lifeguard.
Perfect white teeth.
Yeah, but we're actually not in California. We're in Florida.
Yes.
In a small beach town called Bay Bridge. And the girlies are just, like I said, trying to enjoy the last few days together because Haley's moving away. And they are just, it's the perfect representation of what it was like to be that age and crushing on just someone who's probably way too old for you.
Oh, 100%.
And thinking that these little girly magazines are going to make them fall in love with you.
Oh, it's going to a concert to see one of your favorite bands, Jonas Brothers, growing up, and thinking that you're actually going to, do the right things and make eye contact to be invited backstage 100%. To hang out with them and then date them and marry them, of course.
So the girlies are hanging out on the beach and they're just like chatting, and we're trying to it's mentioned that something about Claire's trauma, and that's
Mhm.
also interesting because that becomes a theme in the movie where she doesn't get in the water, and Haley's like, "Hey, like you got to get in. Like we're summer's ending. I'm gonna be gone. Like we got to enjoy this summer together." So they're watching their mans. They're trying to figure out what they're gonna do to get his attention, and then up walks our mean girl of the movie, Cecilia.
Cecilia Banks.
Cecilia Banks, what a strong name. And she walks onto the beach and she's wearing this like sheer cover up over her like perfectly early 2000s fit and
Yes.
like bikini.
Yes. She's got the perfect little bikini on. Like her whole crew is
Her
walking
whole
in with
crew.
her. She's basically doing the equivalent of like a male bird fluffing up its feathers before going to like attract its mate.
Literally. And she just like walks onto the beach and she like I like the way that this was burned in my memory, even though like obviously we just rewatched it, but I remembered this scene like so vividly because I was like, oh my God, she's so scandalous. She like
so-
walks on the beach and she like takes her hand and like unties her cover up
Yes.
and just like lets it fall off.
the drama.
The drama. And she goes, oh, like I'm gonna get his attention.
Yeah. And I love that Claire and Haley also are like, oh my gosh, did her boobs get bigger?
Yeah,
over
they're
the
like,
summer?
did they grow?
Did they grow?
And Claire goes, she could poke an eye out with those.
She could poke an eye out.
And it's just
Please.
like, what is the obsession? This was an Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging too.
Yes.
It's always like a teen, like girly trope where it's like, okay, it's like the end of summer or the beginning of the school year. And you're like, wait,
Where did those boobs come from?
and when am I coming?
That was like such a huge thing of preteen movies of like this truly this obsession with boobs of like
Oh
you
my
said like when
gosh.
am I getting mine, why does she like have huge ones? It's so wild, but honestly so real
Yeah.
because I mean I've told like this story before, but like I remember having experiences in junior high where like everyone's like developing at different stages and everyone's gonna land at
No,
different
literally
places.
people do talk, like that was like a topic of conversation.
It was. And, like,
Which
the
is
way that
insane.
boys would be, like, obsessed with, like, the girls with, like, big boobs and then quite literally, at least in my case, like, bully girls with no
Literally.
boobs. Like, hello?
So disgusting.
Please. Please.
But okay, so the girlies see Cecilia and she's getting her flirt on, obviously. Like
course.
she's going for it. And they're watching Raymond's reaction because they're like, is he gonna be into this? Like,
Yeah.
is he buying what she's selling? The slut? I'm just kidding. And one of their signs that they look for that they read in one of their magazines is the shake, stretch, and flex. If he shakes his hair,
Mm.
stretches his arms,
Yes.
and flexes his muscles, that means he's into it.
Wow.
And so they're watching this interaction and they see Raymond like rub, his hand through his hair, kind of give it a little zhuzh.
That's one.
And they're like, no, that's not a shake, is it? It's not a shake, is it?
Is
No.
it?
Is that a shake?
Is it?
Then he does the stretch and then he does the flex.
Mm.
And they just are beside themselves.
They are devastated.
They are devastated. They're like, how could he be falling for this? It's just tragic. So they decide, all right, like we're gonna go, it's time to go back home. We're gonna have a sleepover later. So they say their goodbyes for now, plan to meet back up later that evening. But a storm is a-coming. A storm is a-brewing. Because it's the last few days of summer, there's this big party that happens. And it's called the Last Splash. And Claire's grandparents own like the club or whatever that hosts this event.
Yes.
And so as they're heading back to the beach, her grandparents are like, oh, help us. Let's take all these decorations down. So they're taking the decorations down because the storm is coming. And so they're like, all right, we got to put everything away. Like, hopefully the event doesn't get canceled, but we can't just, risk it with the storm. So then later that evening, the girls come back together. It is storming. But first we see JoJo go home.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Haley go home.
Yes.
Played by JoJo.
Played by JoJo. Who I accidentally referred to as JoJo Siwa.
She
Apologies.
really did. Sincerest apologies. The disrespect was real.
Very different JoJos.
So we see Haley go home, and this is where we learn like why she's moving. Like her mom just, got a new job, and JoJo's so angsty. Like she's so angsty
Yeah.
about it because, like, she's like, you're always making me move with your jobs. Like, I'm so tired of it. I just want to like stay here. Like, I finally have like friends. Like, I finally have like a life that I'm like happy with. And I just wrote down like the angst was so real, and I was like,
Yeah.
I totally was feeling those emotions whenever we moved.
Yeah, it's so real. You see her
But
literally did you say this?
yeah,
She's literally unpacking things.
yeah, she's unpacking things when she gets home. Like the wind is blowing the store. It's so dramatic, and she kicks down the for sale sign, like, and then starts unpacking all her things. Like, it's just so dramatic. Okay, so then JoJo,
Haley.
Haley, Claire.
Let's just call her Haley.
Let's call her JoJo. It's the right thing. Haley and Claire get back together for a sleepover, and they're hanging out in the rec room of this club that Claire's grandparents own. And the storm is just really kicking up.
Oof.
It is like all the things are right. The waves are intense, all this stuff. And they're just like, the girls are chatting because they're sad. Haley's moving. They're like, we got to do something. Like, and in this scene, I always thought it was so funny because Haley says this like little like prayer.
Yes. She
And I
prays
always thought
to like the gods of the ocean.
of the ocean. And then she goes, Ameneth, and throws popcorn behind her back. And I just remember thinking, I was like, this is wrong.
You were like, it's sinful for her to
I
pray
was like,
to the
it's
gods of the
blasphemous.
ocean. There's only one true God.
It's like, this is blasphemous.
But I think it's important to point out that her little prayer was basically like, please, please convince my mom not to move to Australia because I don't want to be away from my best friend.
Yes. Which I forgot to mention, yeah, they're moving to Australia, which major slay. Like, I would move to Australia from Florida any day, any day of the week. That's fine. But yeah, so they make this little prayer, and then all of a sudden the power goes out. And so then the girls start freaking out. We see like this big wave crash into the pool, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is so dramatic. So then the girls go to bed, and when they wake up the next morning, they go out to the pool where everyone's at, just trying to get things cleaned
Yeah.
up.
So there is a character that I would like to bring attention to who's a small side character who will play a big part later. And that is the local groundskeeper janitor, Leonard.
Creepy Leonard.
Creepy Leonard. You know what? That is so fair. Leonard is kind of like a lonely janitor who kind of keeps to himself and just kind of, because of his nature, he kind of exudes this creepy energy. So Claire and Haley are always like, oh my gosh, like scary Leonard, scary Leonard. So we first see them interact with him whenever they're taking the last splash decorations back and they like kind of run away. Then he's brought up a second time during their sleepover because when that storm is brewing, the power goes out and the girls are like screaming and they're like, oh my gosh, like this is it. Leonard's going to come and murder us.
Literally.
So dramatic.
Poor Leonard.
But they have this moment that's like so wholesome and so 13 where they look at each other, Claire and Haley, and they were like, if anything like happens to us, I just want you to know that completely without a doubt, you are my best friend.
So cute.
And it's just so wholesome. So it just was really like solidifying, like these girls are just in it. It's giving BFFs. So the next morning they wake up to all the destruction from the storm the night before. And Claire and Haley go to kind of check things out. I mean, you just see the pool is completely trashed. But Claire starts to see something kind of glimmering in the water. So she leans over into the pool and then we see her slip and fall in. Now, when she's in the water, she sees something. And what does she see but another girl in the water? So
she sees hair.
She sees hair, she sees fins, she sees skin, she sees a face. She begins screaming in the water. Everyone up above while this is happening is freaking out because she just fell into the water and like, oh my gosh,
Dirty ocean water. She's terrified of swimming, of water.
Yes. It's so murky. All we know, yes, at this point is that she's completely afraid of water. So Raymond happens to be around because he works for the club and he is there helping up, like clean up the destruction the next day. And of course, he's a lifeguard, so he jumps in immediately to save her.
His skills his training, really, you see it. just click when he rips his shirt off because he
Yes.
he needs that. He needs that
that.
off. He needs that off, okay? Because
He
can't
swims better
He
without
swims
it.
better without that thin t-shirt on, okay?
Weighing him down.
Weighing him down.
So
Shoes still has them on.
I didn't even think about that. Does he actually? That's
Yeah.
wild.
He just rips off the shirt.
Please, please. Raymond jumps into the water and ends up saving Claire. But we end up learning at this point through Haley, who shares with Raymond that her parents, Claire's parents, actually drowned. And that's why
how they
she's
died.
afraid of
Yeah.
the water.
And can we just talk about for a second? Love JoJo in this film. Haley, I'm speaking to your character. It's not chill to share your friend's trauma to attract a man. She literally goes, "That was tight, Ray."
No, I was going to say, that's what stuck out more to me. That's what I wrote down in huge bold letters. Her friend was literally drowning. And all Haley could say to Ray was, "That was tight. That was,
That was
tight.
Ray.
When you saved my friend's life, that was tight."
That was tight.
So Claire begins to tell Haley like what she saw in the water. And Haley just thinks she's in shock.
Yeah.
She's like, "You'll calm down in a second." She's like,
You're
"No,
just
no, no."
freaked out because you
Yeah.
literally just got dunked into water.
Exactly. And so she's like, "Oh, no, no, no. Listen to me, Haley. Like, there is something in the water. Like, I saw something." So she's like, "All right, I'll bite. Later tonight, when your grandma and grandpa go to sleep, we'll go out and investigate." So the girls go out to investigate later that night, and they bring a bunch of like fish with them to see if they can attract whatever is in the water. They're trying to catch this
Or
creature.
not catch. You're right. Attract.
Attract it, yeah.
They're trying to see it.
Yeah, they just want to know. Like, there's something in this water. Maybe this like these fish sticks and various fish things will you bring attention to it. Well, while they're talking and like arguing about like what kind of fish to throw in, Haley has these like little gummy worms that she's eating and accidentally dumps them in the water. And so while they're like arguing over this, a couple of these gummy worms fall into the water, and then we see it's snatched away. And who is it snatched away by?
The big reveal. We did not rehearse that, actually.
The mermaid that Claire saw in the water. It was a mermaid.
She's real.
She was real.
Spoiler alert.
The hair,
It was a
the
mermaid.
fin, and the skin equals mermaid.
Can we just talk about how terrifying it actually would be if you saw a mermaid?
I would not be able to process for a second.
They probably exist. We've talked about this a million times, but they probably exist.
I don't think they look like what we think
No,
they
no.
look like. They don't look like Sarah Paxton.
No.
Craziest part about this whole scenario to me is it is revealed to them that mermaids are real in this moment. And Sarah Paxton, because we don't have her name yet, the mermaid, is taunting them.
Yeah, she's being so rude. Like, she's actually a bully.
She's having a little bit of fun with it, okay? She's doing the whole classic, like, boo, I'm a mermaid.
I'm
boo.
a mermaid.
Yeah, look at my fin. Woo, watch me do flips. Watch me, like, swirl around in the water. She's like, "Oh, yeah, say it. What am I? I'm a mermaid."
It's literally like she's being such a dick about it.
Yeah, like, kind of, right?
Like, she's being so rude. Like, she actually
Like,
is. And she's like, "Quit screaming like a couple of shrimp or something." Like,
Yeah, she was like, literally, ow, my ears.
she's like, "You shrimps are really loud." And I'm like,
She's like-
"Ma'am, you are a fictional fake creature."
And then she's like really offended by the fact that
They call her
They
fictional.
call her fictional. She's like, "No, we're real."
We're discreet.
Speaking of things feeling risque in this movie when we were kids, the fact that she doesn't wear like seashells on her boobs, she just has her,
Her
hair
hair.
covering her boobs and it's completely backless, I thought was like so like risque in my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, she doesn't have on a top. She's a mermaid, please."
Do mermaids have
Boobs?
boobs?
Who knows? Who's to say?
Or is it more just like lumps?
Yeah, because do they need to like feed
Do they have nips?
mermaid
Do
children?
mer people have nipples? Or have they evolved
You know
past
what?
it?
We've done this before with 13th year with other body parts.
This one's different. This one's different, okay? I like to think the mer people have evolved past the need of nipples.
Yeah, probably. They
And
just
that's
like
all I'll say about it.
filter salt water all day. I don't know. I'm saying that's where they get their sustenance. They don't need milk or anything like that. That's what it has to do with. It has everything to do with it.
Do we get sustenance through our nipples?
Yeah, babies do.
Babies do.
I'm saying if the babies do.
Okay.
I'm not implying that adults still drink breast milk. Maybe they do, but that's their thing.
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know.
I just have so many questions about mer people, but
Okay,
we'll move on.
Here's a few things about mermaids that we learn about in this scene, okay? We see her nails change colors, and we learn that her mood affects the color of her nails, which I thought this was such a slay.
No, this is such a slay.
When I was a kid, I was like, I want nails that change colors with my mood. That sounds amazing.
That would be so iconic. We actually talked about how they did at one point. It didn't work very well, but they made like a lipstick and nail polish that was supposed to be like mood coloring, like changing with your mood.
And it would just change like based off heat, I think.
Yeah, it's a temperature thing for sure.
I love that though.
They tried.
They tried.
She
can also speak all languages and also communicate with sea creatures. So that's
cool.
why she's able to like talk with them.
Yeah, because they're like, you speak English?
She's like, yeah, I speak all languages, don't you? Please.
Haley goes, I got a C in Spanish. And that is the most real thing I've ever heard.
I got a C in Spanish. She's like, okay. And she can also control water, we learn, because she does a little motion where she is able to move the pool water towards her so she can like bring a little gummy worm floating in the water closer to her. And the girls are like, oh my gosh, you can do that? You can control water? And she's like, yeah, but you should see what my dad can do. Like all those storms last night, like that was him. So we learned that her dad is basically the god of the sea. Poseidon? He's Poseidon?
Her dad's Poseidon and was so angry that he caused a tragic storm.
Literally. And what was he angry about? Well, we learned that she actually ran away from a wedding. Swam away
from home.
I'm so sorry, you're right.
Have some respect.
Away. She swam away from her wedding day because in her world,
it's arranged marriages in the mer people community.
She really didn't want to marry this guy. And so she's like,
she said he had barnacle brain or bubbles brain or something.
Barnacle brain? I thought you were going to say he's got barnacle breath. Bubbles for brains.
Wait, I love that. That's such a good insult.
At one point, she asked the girls if they want to touch her tail, and they're like, do. Haley reaches out and touches it.
Okay, the sexual tension in this moment.
Please. She reaches out, touches it, and goes, oh, slimy. And then the mermaid replies, oh my gosh, thank you. That's actually a compliment in her world, to have a slimy tail.
I just don't like the way that she was like, do you want to touch it?
Do you want to touch it? Yeah, I know you do.
And I do. And I'm like,
from the get-go, she's kind of like, I know you're obsessed with me.
Literally.
Because I'm a mermaid.
It really is. We'll get into this more, but she's giving narcissism. She really is. The mermaid is. And it makes sense because the whole thing of like mermaids and in the lore of mermaids, the folklore, is I feel like they are kind of like almost obsessed with themselves.
Yeah.
It's making sense.
Yeah, it's starting to add up.
Because they're always like, on the rocks trying to look pretty and brushing their hair.
Yes. But isn't that to lure people in to eat them in some cases?
In some cases, if you're a siren. Is there a difference between a siren and a mermaid or mer person?
I have no idea.
Because like mermaids definitely
there might be
crossover
sometimes. I think sometimes mermaids are written as evil.
Evil, yeah.
Yeah, they're not always like
they're not
these
good, yeah.
kind-hearted creatures.
I think they're mostly written as evil.
We see her in this scene grab their feet because she's like obsessed with them. And she just kind of like grabs them. It's like, oh my gosh, let me see this. Okay,
ma'am, ask first.
You want to ask? Well, they say goodnight to their new mermaid friend. They're like, okay, we'll see you in the morning. But the girls wake up to the pool being drained.
Oh my goodness.
Gasp.
Did the mermaid get sucked up into the machine?
Yeah, at this point, they're like,
spotted.
Our friend is gone. She's like,
she's been meat grindered.
She's been sucked up and drained out of here. But the girls follow some sounds to the equipment closet, and that's where they find their mermaid friend inside, now with legs.
With brand new legs.
So our mermaid friend is so excited that she has these new legs, but she's also excited that she has a butt. And she's like showing her friends her new butt. She's like, look at this. She's like, look at this new thing I got. Which I think is so funny because in The Little Mermaid, like, they never really acknowledge, like, the fact that, yeah, it's exciting she has legs, but you now have a butt in other parts too. Like, were you not intrigued by that too? Like, all of a sudden, like, whoa, what's all this?
What's all this about?
Yeah.
What's all this then?
It's like just the obsession with like the feetsies and the toes and the legs.
I like to think that mermaid tails have like cheeks.
They already have butts.
Yeah.
So. Well, not in this world because she was like,
Not in this version, but
she was so excited about it. So they're like, we got to get her out of here. But she's naked. Like, we have to give her some clothes. So Haley's wearing a swimsuit, but she has a big t-shirt over it. So they're like, give her, Claire's like, Haley, give her your t-shirt. And so this scene that I'm about to talk about is so iconic. Haley gives their new mermaid friend,
for like
I'm just going
oversized
to start
tea.
calling her Aquamarine. They take way too long to
all you need
introduce
to
her
know
name.
is it takes about 30 minutes before they actually say her name. And they've already been helping her out and like hanging out. So
Yes.
like imagine hanging out with someone for like a half of a day and not knowing their name. Like, what are you supposed? Hey, you over there,
over there, mermaid, you mermaid. So Aquamarine, we're just gonna start calling her that.
or Aqua for short.
Haley gives Aqua her t-shirt, and instead of just putting it on like a regular t-shirt, she like puts it on in such a way that she's able to transform it into a cutie little halter dress. And when I tell you that this defined our generation's
It really did.
fashion choices,
It really did.
we all tried this.
We all tried it.
I'm convinced any young girl, any young person that saw this movie tried to make a dress.
The dress out of a
t-shirt.
t-shirt. I still want to try again. I know it's not going to work.
It's not.
I know it's not going to work.
No, it's not.
But I want to try it. But I want to try it. I can't help it.
So then we cut to their new mermaid friend, Aquamarine, enjoying her new feet by jumping on Claire's bed.
I would just love to know, like, why she didn't just choose to walk up shore.
What do you mean?
She swam away, right?
Yeah.
And then ended up getting like washed up to shore and landed in this pool. Why didn't she like?
She talked about this. So she had never used her legs before.
No, I know, but I'm saying like, why wasn't that her first go-to?
So she said she was so afraid to try them because she didn't know if it was actually going to work. But when they started draining the pool, she had no option. She had to.
She was forced to face her fears.
Yes. She didn't know if this will actually work. Like, all I know is, yes, you can walk with legs on land, but if you get any water on you at all, it's fin time again. And for some reason, after sunset, it's fin time again.
Can't be walking on your legs at night.
Nope, apparently not. I don't understand why there's two rules. I understand the classic, like getting water on you, then
I don't
instant
understand
tail.
the sunset one.
I keep calling it a fin. Instant tail. Fin tail.
It has a fin on it. Before we move away from the pool, something that Crazy Leonard, finds in the pool as they're draining it. So he's over there, like, they've drained the pool, so he's up, grabbing all the seaweed and stuff, everything that washed up into the pool. And as he's doing this, he comes across this, like, necklace-looking thing. And he's like, this is interesting looking. So he pockets it for later.
And he also finds a scale. He doesn't know what it is at that point.
I forgot about the scale. I never knew what that was.
It was a scale.
I had no idea that was a scale. I literally thought he just picked up a seashell.
He was like, and this one's just for me. A little pretty something.
For my collection.
For my collection.
I'm going to make this into a bracelet later.
So we begin to hear a cell phone ringing, but it's actually a conch shell on Claire's dresser. This is when we learn about the existence of shell phones. So you've always heard people say that if you hold a shell up to your ear, you can hear the ocean. Well, Aqua teaches the girls in this moment, not only can you hear the ocean, but the ocean can hear you. So
this scared me as a child. I'm not even going to lie and be like, because we used to have those. Like,
you would hold up a shell and be like,
hello?
Hello? Who can hear me?
Who's there?
Who's there? Hello?
Are mermaids real? Do they have nipples?
Please. Who's calling on the shell phone? Well, none other than Aqua's father. And he is so angry. He's
Very
so
angry.
angry, in fact, that as their conversation goes on the phone, we begin to see a storm brewing outside.
The clouds roll in.
And the girls, Haley and Claire, are just watching this happen as she's on the phone. And she's like going at it with her father, like talking back, being like, no, absolutely not.
So sassy.
Which honestly, fair. She was being forced into a marriage. So she's like telling her dad, like, no, I'm not going to do this. And she announces to the girls that she made a barter with her father on the phone. And the barter is she needs to prove that love is real and exists because where she comes from, They don't believe in love.
Love is fake.
That's why
Love is a myth.
love is a myth, which is why they have arranged marriages. And so she has to prove to her father in 3 days that love exists. Otherwise, she has to go back and marry the guy that she swam away from their wedding. So as she announces this, the girls are standing on the balcony of Claire's bedroom, which slay, by the way.
Slay, right on the beach.
Right on the beach.
See the ocean.
Ocean view. And as they're standing there and she's making this announcement to the girls, like, I need to make this happen in 3 days, she spots our lifeguard,
None
Raymond.
other than Raymond.
The girls' favorite hottie. Raymond is out windsurfing, and Aqua spots him and says, yes, that's who I want to find love with. Raymond. Who's that? Literally does one of those. Who's that? Like, that's Raymond. Claire and Haley freak out about this. They're like,
not
absolutely
him.
not. Like,
Come
not Raymond.
on. Like, let's find someone else.
Because in the back of their minds, they hope that one day they'll be able to find their own love with Raymond.
Oh, yeah.
But I think deep down they know, like, between the age gap and Haley moving away, it's just a funny crush at the end of the day.
It's not going to work out. I'd like to point out that this is, I believe, our third slow motion of the movie. And at this point, it's probably, what, 35 minutes?
Yeah.
35 minutes in? They really loved their slow-mo moments in this movie. And we just see Raymond running out of the ocean, just like slow-mo with his like board, and he's like throwing it in the air.
Please.
And Aqua is just obsessed.
It is so funny that we would use so many slow-mo shots to emphasize a character's hotness.
Literally. It was like, look how hot they are.
Look at them running in slow-mo on the beach. Look at him, shaking his hair in slow motion on the beach. I cannot.
Even the arm stretch and
Yes.
flex they had in slow-mo.
So she immediately goes for it. She runs up to Raymond, runs up to him while he's rinsing off from a day at the beach and goes, do you love me? Because she doesn't know how love works. She doesn't know that it's something that can take time. She goes up to him and says, Raymond, do you love me? And he's just taken aback like, what? No, but I think you're hot. And
I think you're really hot is what he says.
Yeah, I think you're really hot. He doubles down
Yeah,
on
he
it.
doubles down. He goes, I think you're hot. I think you're really hot.
She is absolutely devastated. Aqua is devastated that
I've
this man
never
just looked
seen-
at her and said, no,
I don't love you.
I don't love you. I think you're hot.
Wait, why is that like the equivalent of how I feel whenever I ask my husband, like, oh, but like when you first met me, you were in love with me, right?
You're like, obviously. Like,
Obviously. And then when he says no, I'm like,
and do you also say, I need some salt?
Me. Yeah, I do.
Because that's what she loves to take. Take? Like it's a drug. It's her drug. She loves salt. She loves to eat salt whenever she's
Just like
stressed.
table salt.
She's just
like
literally eating table
Morton's
salt.
Table salt.
Because she comes from the ocean, She loves her salt water. So she decides that she wants to equip the girls' help, Claire and Haley, to get Raymond to fall in love with her. Because Claire and Haley are self-proclaimed Raymond experts. And she claims that if Haley and Claire help her out with getting Raymond to fall in love with her, that they will get a mermaid wish.
Which honestly, the way she says it feels like she's making it up.
It totally does.
She's like, don't you know that if you help a mermaid that you get a wish? And like the way she's like not making eye contact with them, I'm like,
is she gaslighting
I
them?
think she's lying.
Is she lying? She's like, yeah, totally. I mean, you'll totally get a wish. It'll be so real. It'll be
It's so real, I promise.
like, remember, you didn't even know that mermaids existed a few days ago. And so I can tell you basically anything about us and you can believe it's true.
Literally. Also, not her making fun of them for being like, I thought that was genies. And she's like, you believe in genies?
Oh, yeah. Like,
Ma'am, you're fictional.
making fun of them. Like, just step in their shoes for 2 seconds.
For
I know
literally
you've
2
only
seconds.
experienced feet for like 5 seconds, but just step into their shoes for a second. I, at this point, had kept waiting for her to say her name. And she finally introduces her name.
Once
to the
they agree to
girls.
help her.
Once they agree to help her, yes. And the way that this line was delivered, 2 things. One, it was giving that they realized they forgot to introduce this character's name.
They're like, oh, shoot.
And had to quickly write this line in. And 2, it was delivered in a way that was made specifically for a trailer. She goes, my name's Aquamarine. Now let's go find Raymond. To these girls she's been hanging out with for at least 12 hours at this point.
At a minimum, it's been at least a half a day.
Could you imagine you're just hanging out with someone and all of a sudden, A, they haven't introduced themselves. B, you haven't asked. And when they finally do, it's like, I'd be like, hi, my name is Megan. Now let's go make a podcast. I don't know. Like,
It's also unhinged that they never asked. Because we
yeah.
talked about it earlier. We're like, how you gonna spend that much time with someone and not know their name?
Yes.
But to not ask.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of like
And she knows their
You know-
names, I guess, at a certain
you know
point.
how whenever you've like met someone a few times or like, you know, I've spent enough time with them, but you forget their name and you're like I can't ask at this point. It's giving that energy. You're like, maybe she said it. Did you get it?
Did you hear it?
Did you hear it? Maybe she
Well, she
said
made it very clear.
She probably said it.
My name's Aquamarine. Now let's go find Raymond. I'm laying out the entire plot of the movie in this one line.
Now let's go find Raymond, but that's not going to matter in the end.
What's so funny is she ends up running off. Like, she's so excited to get started. And the girls run after her, yelling, "You need shoes! Yeah, and undies!"
The way she's
homegirl
been
is-
freeballing the whole time.
Homegirl's just like, free, yeah, I almost said Free Willy. Because of the ocean,
She's
but that's...
free willying.
We don't know the anatomy. She is just, she's got commando.
Free shelling.
No shoes,
Free
running around in
kelping.
this t-shirt. Free continent. Like, I don't even know. It's a lot. So the girls
Free
are running after her
clamshell.
like, wait. This like wild new friend of ours needs our help before she goes and like ruins this thing with with Raymond.
All right, so now we cut to Haley's house where the girls are headed over there just to start their planning, their scheming. How are we going to get Raymond to fall in love with Aqua so that we can get our wish? And at this point, the girls have already established that their wish is going to be to get Haley to stay
Yes.
because they desperately do not want her to move. And they just feel like what they asked for, what they asked the ocean for, has come to fruition with this mermaid washing ashore. So they get to Haley's house, and this is where we find out that Haley's mom is actually a marine biologist and has been working on things for the ocean as marine biologists do. And it's really sweet because Aqua kind of shows Haley like how important the work is that her mom does and says, well, you can thank her for me because the ocean, like the water tastes a lot better than it did a few years ago. And this is kind of like the first gleam of Haley starting to appreciate her mom and the
Yeah.
work that she does. And it's just a really sweet moment to be like, okay, like maybe Aqua isn't as crazy as we thought and
Yeah.
can teach the girls some things. So they get to Haley's room and they are ready to start the plans of getting Raymond's attention. And of course, the very first step, all right, because there's steps. That's important. There are steps to getting a boy's attention. And the first step is the call and hang up.
Call your crush.
You call your crush. So they start to explain to Aqua, okay, like we're going to call him. And she's like, oh my gosh, like what do I say? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
We just call and hang up. And we do that like multiple times a day. So we're going to do our first call.
I love to when she's like, why do we do this? She's like, I don't know,
I know,
actually.
it's literally just something we do.
Just what you do.
And no, I mean, there is no explanation. And so they dial up Raymond and they hand the phone to Aqua and she just like is holding the phone. And then you hear Raymond go, hello. And she just goes, ah! And slams the phone shut and throws it out the window. She goes, that was amazing. Let's do it again.
That scene was so funny to me as a kid that she just screams into the phone and then yeets it out the window. So good.
I'm like, this man is like, someone literally just called to screw my ear. Cool. So then we cut to step 2. All right. Which is the, hey, we just so happen to be in your neighborhood. I didn't even know you lived here. Where they go on their bikes and they bike ride up and down his street. And this is where we see Raymond. He's getting his workout in. Now, we haven't mentioned it up to this point, but Raymond looks 35.
We cannot
This is
determine the
vital.
age of this man.
We could not tell you how old this man was. The only reason I know that he's supposed to be 18 is because it makes sense for the movie, and he actually was 18 when they filmed this movie.
And he mentions at one point, like, yeah, I'm supposed to go off to college next year, but I want to take a year
Exactly.
off. And 18 would be
Would
around
be
the
around
age.
the age, okay? But
He does not look 18.
he's not like 18. So they're riding their bikes up and down his street, like giggling, having a good time. And, he's doing his sit-ups, right? Because I'm Raymond. I'm a lifeguard. I got to stay fit. This man is working out in Converse, which, okay, some people do that. You shouldn't. You need better shoes. But in
More
cargo
support.
shorts. And this is just unhinged behavior to me.
I can't. Not the cargo shorts.
It's the cargo shorts that really sent it over the edge. Okay. So the
What about
girls
the novelty tee?
and the novelty tee. I wasn't going to mention that because, he's working out. Sometimes you just wear random t-shirts that you find.
The combo.
It's fine. But it's the combo of like the unironic novelty tee, the cargo shorts, and the Converse. And why are we just doing random sit-ups? Whatever. So then the girls... What?
No, I was laughing because when we were watching it, we were like so confused about his age before he mentioned
No,
college.
I was like,
And
does
we were
he
like,
own this house?
Yeah, is
like
this
my
his
notes
house?
say, does he own this house? Like he's definitely 62, right? Like this man is old. And these girls are like young, but can't confirm he was the correct age. So the girls are riding the bikes and they are giggling. They finally catch Raymond's eye and he smiles at Aqua. And at this point, Aqua doesn't have her own bike, or she never has her own bike. So she always rides on Claire's bike. And in this particular scene, she's sitting on the front handlebars. And when she catches Raymond's eyes and he smiles at her, her instincts kick in and she decides to press on the brakes. And so when she presses on the brakes, she goes flying over.
Please.
And honestly should have hurt herself way worse.
Oh, should have been a way worse accident.
But
They were not wearing helmets or anything.
She lands in front of his house, like his front porch, and this is when we get our most epic slow-mo cut. All right, Raymond's lifeguard instincts kick in once again, his training. And he runs out to his porch, does a jump over the porch.
Can't be bothered to take the stairs.
Can't be bothered to take the stairs. And this is like
Too
an
slow.
8 to 10 foot
Jump.
drop.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It was unnecessary,
Yeah.
honestly. And he just like does like this like crazy move. It's like and he like jumps over and it's like slow-mo cuts in and out of his like close-ups of his face. And
It turns into an action movie all of a sudden.
It's giving action movie. It's giving like low budget action movie. And he like runs up to her. She has the tiniest little scratch on her knee.
Honestly,
he's
lucky.
like, she should have bust her head open. With that kind of jolt. And he goes, oh, okay, like, let me take care of you. Like, I'm a lifeguard, right? Oh, let's get some water on this. Rinse it off. She goes, no!
Yeah, she screams like, no water, no water.
No water. And he goes,
Obviously.
it's okay. I will never hurt you. Okay, I'm a lifeguard. I'm to be trusted.
Please.
And he goes, lifeguards are always prepared. Pulls out his wallet and has a Band-Aid conveniently. Okay, safety. Safety always.
Put the little Band-Aid on Aqua.
And she goes, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Her admiring the Band-Aid, looking down at it, like being like, oh my gosh, like this is the greatest gift anyone's ever given me. Like, you're so kind. Is like honestly so hilarious and wholesome.
Okay, and at this point he mentions, hey, like I'm gonna be at the street fair that's happening later. Hope to see you there. Wink, just kidding. But basically. So Cecilia's rolling up in her perfectly pink car with her license plate, custom license plate that says princess, and her matching t-shirt that says princess.
So good.
And she's there for a driving lesson. So, she's trying to get as much time in with Raymond as possible. And I just like to point out, because we have a couple moments throughout this movie where Cecilia and her girlies just make the most like weird insults.
Yes,
It's like,
yes.
is that an insult?
Yeah.
Like,
They're not very good at it.
no, they're not very good at it. Aqua starts to notice, like, oh, like she has a license plate that says princess. Her shirt says princess. Like, is she a princess? And the way this was so scandalous when we were kids, but JoJo says, like, under her breath, she goes, no, she's just a royal bitch. And you're like, it's a PG movie. And it's just so iconic.
Such a good burn. That's so funny.
It's so funny. And so then Cecilia and Aqua kind of go head to head a little bit in this moment. And then the girls just end up leaving. Aqua burns her by saying that Cecilia, her name means dim-sighted or something.
Yeah.
And she goes, but your parents know you better than I do. And the girls are just like, slay Aqua. Like, you know how to hit him where it hurts. And so at this point, the girls then go back to Claire's house where they have to prep for the street fair because this is going to be some great FaceTime for Aqua to get in with Raymond. And we just have to get him to ask her to the last splash. It just has to happen.
Yeah. I do have one more note to add that as the girls run off after their interaction with Cecilia, Cecilia makes the comment, there's something fishy about her.
Yeah, I wrote that down. I was like, foreshadowing?
Foreshadowing. So the girls get back to Claire's house and they are reading all the magazines. And I mean all of them. They are deep diving. They are studying like it's an exam because, like you said, that this street fair is going to determine a lot
It's a make or break moment.
in their love journey. Because, I mean, her dad gave her 3 days.
And
That
we're
is-
already at the end of day one.
like, we're running out of time here, okay? They made some progress, but there's a lot to do. So they take all this newfound information and head to the street fair. So something I noticed as a little detail is Aqua is still wearing the same t-shirt she had on before, but she has now changed the design of the t-shirt into a new strapless dress.
Mm-hmm.
And this continues throughout the movie. She kind of gives the dress a new fresh
new
look.
look.
And I just think that is so cute. And also just added to the obsession of, oh my gosh.
So versatile.
So all the things you could do with a t-shirt. So versatile. So the first tactic that they try from one of their magazines is the laugh and pass, which is just what it sounds like. The girls are going to laugh as they walk by Raymond, who's shooting some hoops, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Shooting some hoops at the fair. And try to get his attention. He's going to hear them giggling and be like, what's so funny?
What's going on over there?
I want to be a part of it. So when he looks over in their direction after the laugh and passes, I would say successful. Aqua begins to flip her hair. And this part just always got me as a kid too. And even as an adult, because she just doesn't fully understand how to be subtle with anything yet.
Yeah.
And so she is flipping her hair just so
Erratic.
she is just breaking her neck left and right, okay? Flipping her hair.
But the girls are not helping because they're like, yeah, flip your hair, flip your hair.
keep doing it, keep doing it. It's so chaotic just trying to get his attention. But it works. It works, okay? And then they go for a second tactic that they read about. Aqua remembered this one called the fluff and retreat. You walk up to the man, you fluff his ego, and then you retreat. So she walks up to Raymond, who's still shooting basketballs, and she goes, wow, Raymond, you're good. Bye. She's like, wow, you're so good. Bye. Runs away. And that's when he's like, okay. I need to go talk to Aqua.
Yeah.
So he comes
Wins
up to
her
her.
a dolphin. Little dolphin toy.
Oh, yeah. So he comes up to her with his new dolphin that he just won from the
Because
basketball.
he's so good.
Because he's so good at shooting hoops. He's so good at everything. Wow, he just won her an inflatable dolphin. He he asks Aqua if she's having a good time, and her response is, yes, following you around is fun.
Following you all day is fun.
Following you around is fun. She doesn't know how to be subtle. She doesn't know that there are certain things you probably shouldn't share. But thankfully, in Aqua's case, he's finding everything she's doing so endearing and so charming.
She's just so charming.
Because she's not like other
I was
girls.
literally about to say that, but I didn't want to jump to that in case you're going to get to it later.
We also just kind of see more fish out of water behavior when Aqua is given a cotton candy. And she begins to rub it on her face. And Claire and Haley are there still in the background trying to help out on her non-date date that's happening at the fair. And they're like, I love to eat cotton candy. Don't you just love to eat it? And it finally clicks with Aqua, oh, I'm not supposed to rub this on my face. I'm supposed to eat it. But again, Raymond is finding everything she's doing very charming. So I don't even think he would have thought anything of it.
No, he's just giggling at her and is like, oh, you're so cute.
But Claire and Haley witness something that is very key in their minds to knowing that a guy is into you.
Another slow-mo moment.
Another shake, stretch, and flex.
He hits all three, and they're like, he likes her.
So Aqua decides she wants to go on a paddle boat with Ray because she's never been on one. But I am so confused by this because this whole time she has been so adamant.
She's so no, I cannot get water.
No, I can't be near water. No, I can't be near water. Hey, let's go on a paddle boat.
where water's splashing up on you all the time.
Well, they go on a romantic paddle boat ride and everything's going okay. And they're having some deep talks, okay? She's talking about how her dad is a bit controlling. And Ray shares how, yeah, he's supposed to go to college, but and his dad really wants that for him, but he wants to take a year off.
They've been fighting all summer.
Yeah, he wants to see the world. His dad wants him to go to college.
Yeah, and he's like, Dad, I'm 35. I can do what I want.
But as we learn, not only is water a risk for instant tail, but so is sunset, and the sun is beginning to set quickly. There's just too many rules, okay? At this point, though, in the paddle boat ride, too, I have to mention that he literally says, "You're not like most girls around here." He's truly doing "you're not like other girls." Ray asks her to the last splash on the paddle boat as well.
He sure does.
But she quickly needs to paddle back to shore because, like I mentioned, the sun is setting
fast.
So she begins just to pedal, 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 pedal. So in all this chaos of trying to get out of there before she pops a tail.
Popping a tail. You ever just pop a tail?
Please. I should probably choose different phrasing for that. She ends up not really officially answering yes or no to the last splash.
Yeah, she's just panicked.
She's just so panicked. So she ends up saying bye, leaving him behind, making sure she says, "Yes, I had a great time," and she's running away. But we see Cecilia spot all of this.
She's on the prowl. She's a little vulture.
Ooh, she is swooping in. And we're like, what is she up to? The girls need to find a place for Aqua to stay for the night where there is water. Why she doesn't just stay in Claire's bathtub, I don't know. Who's to say? But the girls think it's a good idea to take her up to the local water tower. So that's where they leave Aqua for the night. She takes her new dolphin friend that Raymond won for her. And she is now going to be staying in the water tower until further notice. Which me and Maddie wrote this down and we were discussing this. What does a water tower do? And is she contaminating a water source by...
I feel like she's contaminating the town's water source.
Because I'm assuming mermaids, pee and poo.
Isn't she?
Is she doing that in the water tower? Does she swim in it?
Is she swimming in her own? Well, no. Think about that. Fishes.
Yeah.
Sea creatures swim in their own feces.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she's doing that. Because, she just used legs for the first time.
What? Do they have to teach her how to use the restroom?
They probably did.
They had to potty train their mermaid. And she was walking around with no underwear on.
Oh, she had an accident.
She had accidents for sure. There was a blowout for sure.
She's eating that cotton candy with Raymond. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I just had that thought.
He would find that endearing too somehow.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Oh."
He's like, "You're not like other girls."
You're not like other girls. You poop. I'm so tired of girls saying they don't poop. I just want a girl who has blowouts.
Please. Well, clearly she doesn't have one in the dress she wears because she wears it for 3 days in a row.
True.
We see that the ladder is loose, though, on the water tower. And I wrote a note because I was like, this is going to come back. After they drop off their mermaid at the water tower to her little daycare, Claire and Haley discuss if it's even possible for Raymond to fall in love with her in 2 days.
Yeah.
Because they're starting to freak out because they have something on the line here. And that's the possibility of this wish for themselves, for their friendship to be intact. Mm-hmm. Well, not be intact, but for Haley not to move.
To be separated.
Yeah, they don't want to be separated, especially so far.
Also, back in those days, the technology was different.
Yeah, what do you have, AIM? There's no Zoom yet.
There was no, maybe Skype was.
No FaceTime?
Yeah, you couldn't FaceTime. It wasn't as accessible. The technology existed, but it wasn't as accessible. We still had minutes. Imagine you, I don't know. It would be expensive.
Well, they realized that Aqua is going to need a dress for the last splash because Aqua was filling them in on the conversation she had with Raymond on the paddle boat. And they were like, oh my gosh.
He literally asked you to go with him.
That's what he meant by that when he was like, do you want to go with me? He wasn't like, are you going to be there? He's like, you come with, I want to go with you.
Yeah, I want to go with you.
And so they're like, we need to take her shopping. So they decide to leave their little town for the day and take a bus to the Tampa Mall.
And what is a teen girly pop movie without a shopping montage?
We love a shopping montage.
So they end up at this mall, and Haley has been saving from her summer job at the aquarium, and she's got $400 burning a hole in her pocket, and she's ready to spend it on her and her girlies. So Honestly, so generous.
So kind. She's like, you know what? This mermaid girl I just met a couple days ago. I'm gonna help her out. I'm gonna help her get a dress.
Yes. So we just see them going from store to store, trying on all the clothes, all the accessories. They go get their hair done.
Yes.
Haley also gets some blue highlights in her hair so that her and Aqua can be the same.
All three of them do they not? All
No,
three get
Claire
highlights?
doesn't. She gets
Aw.
her nails painted in that scene.
Aw.
Yeah, because she's a clarity cat.
Clarity cat. Aw.
The last kind of moment where they find their dress is Aqua's like, let's go into this store, like this vintage store. And the girls are like, ew, no, this is for old people. Like, ew, it's used clothes.
Please.
And I swear this is what instilled our love for vintage because they go into this store and Aqua is like, no, you guys, like, trust me. Like, this is so different from all the other stuff we saw in the mall. Like, it's unique. Like, we each can have like something unique. And it's just so iconic. They get the most iconic dresses.
Oh, it's so cute.
They're living on this high of like, oh my gosh, you're going with Raymond to the last splash. Like, you're living out our dreams.
Yes.
Like, and we love that for you because girls support girls, you know?
Yes. So sweet.
Okay, so they get back to Claire's house and Aqua goes, oh my gosh, I don't have any earrings. Like, what am I going to do? And Claire goes, no problem. Like, you can borrow some of my earrings. And she goes, oh, these are pretty and pointy. She's like, what do? Stick these through your skin?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, that's what you do. And she goes, no. Girlies, I wear stick-ons. They're like, you mean clip-ons? And she goes, no. Stick-ons. And this is where we learn that Aquamarine's accessory of choice are little baby starfish.
She quite
that
literally
she
wears
literally sticks on her
starfish.
ears. And she goes, they compliment me. And Claire goes like, I have plenty of jewelry that would compliment you just fine. She goes, no. They literally compliment me.
They literally gas me up
They
the entire
literally
night.
gas me up all night and talk about how fire my fit is and how smart I am and how pretty I am. It's at this point they go back to the beach and Aqua calls in some dolphin friends to get Haley out to this buoy so that she can fish for starfish. Haley successfully gets the starfish, and it's also at this point while they're watching Haley go out to this buoy on these dolphins that Claire and Aqua get to talking. And Claire asks Aqua, she's like, why are you so, if you don't have love where you're from, like, why are you so adamant that love is real? Like, what's that about? And, asking the hard-hitting questions. And Aqua goes, well, I've seen it once. Like, this couple, like, we were swimming through the bay here, and I saw this couple, and they were on this, like, little blue boat, and the way they looked at each other, like, I knew love was real. And it's at this moment that Claire has this, like, moment that it clicks, and she goes, what was the name on the boat? And she tells her the name, which is, like, the Claire de Lune or something. And she goes, that was my parents.
Yes.
And she was like, I looked for them ever since, like, every year. And as we know, Claire's parents got in an accident and drowned. So it was a really emotional moment for Claire to be like, wow, like, you saw my parents.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild. Anyway, so then Haley
and now
comes
you're
back.
here with me.
Yes. And like they're the reason you're here.
Yes. Aqua also has like a sweet friend moment here. It's like a time where we actually see her
Be a good person.
Yeah. Like not just using them to like, help her fall in love with Raymond, but she like uses this as a moment to like be a good friend to Claire and be like, you know what, like, I know I didn't know your parents, but like what I saw, like I imagine that these are people that wouldn't want you to like
be afraid
of life, but just to like really go out and like enjoy it and live it. And it's kind of this moment is happening where she's having this like discussion with Claire when Claire just missed out on an opportunity to be on a green screen with a dolphin
with her best friend
to the buoy.
Riding out to the fake buoy in the fake ocean. I mean, it just really would have been a good moment for them, but Claire was being a clarity cat again, so.
Did you also think the scene of Haley on the dolphin was giving like summer vacation with your family where you go to a dolphin encounter?
110%. Honestly, I think that movie was responsible for a lot of young like people wanting dolphin encounters on vacations. Because we're like, oh my God, that could be me.
I could ride a dolphin.
That could literally be me. Okay, so after Haley successfully gets the starfish earrings for Aqua, this is where we first hear the little starfish, and they're just like, Aqua is so beautiful. And we just hear like all the little compliments. It's so funny. And they go to get some drinks and just hang out by the beach. And this is when Cecilia's girlies, her
Yes.
her girl gang, her crew, come up to them and start like just making fun. They always are looking for opportunities to make fun of the girls. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, the blue hair is spreading. It's like a disease." I mean, they probably
Please.
don't say that, but it's something like that. And then they call them like grandmas for having blue hair. And I'm like,
I don't get that one.
I don't get that one.
They're
Like,
bad at insults.
they're bad at insults. That's all you need to know. Aqua kind of claps back and is like, says something about how she's going to the last splash with Raymond. And they were like, I don't know what you've heard, but Raymond's going with Cecilia. And this is where we see that evil streak that we commonly know mermaids for come out, where Aqua becomes the bully. And she like takes a sip out of her drink and like literally spits this drink on both of them.
Yes.
And she goes, "Bit of advice, get a clean shirt." Or like get a dry shirt or something.
Instead of just like taking her cup and dumping it on them, she literally
the
takes the effort
spitting.
to put it in her mouth and then spit it out on them.
It's a little much. Okay. But then at this point, Aqua is just absolutely devastated. She's like, "Love isn't real. Like, how could I be so like silly? Like, I'm just gonna go home. Like, it's over."
She's even getting mad at the girls at this point. Like,
Yes.
like blaming them.
Yeah.
Because they were supposed to be her guide in this journey to like fall in love with Raymond. They were supposed to be the Raymond expert. And she's
Yeah.
like, it's your fault.
Yeah. And she's like, "Bull shark," which I thought was so funny as a kid.
Oh my gosh. That was the greatest sea pun ever. Bull shark.
Bull shark. It was so shocking as a kid. You know, you were like, "Oh my gosh."
Oh, I thought she was going to say the real one.
She almost said something bad.
We've already said the B word once in this. I didn't know we were going to say the S one too.
And so at this point, Haley and Claire are like, "We've got to redeem this." Like, she is walking straight towards the ocean. Like, she's going home.
Yeah.
Like, and Claire gets in like problem solving mode. And she's like, "I'm going to go talk to Raymond.
Yes.
You go to like catch up with Aqua and
Yeah.
convince her that she needs to stay." We see Haley run after Aqua, and they kind of have a heart-to-heart on the beach. Aqua's getting dangerously close to the water. And as we learned, if Aqua even touches the ocean, her dad will pull her back in.
Yes.
JoJo starts to have a heart-to-heart, and she's like, "Hey, listen, like, I pretend like I know a lot about this stuff, but I really don't. And like, I don't know what love is. Like, my dad walked out on us, and like, I just have to believe in it though. Like, I just have to believe that love is real. Like, that we can make this happen." The way that JoJo delivers these lines, I don't know. I'm just like, "Ma'am?" She's like, "I don't know what love is." And I'm like, it's not very convincing, JoJo. But I'm happy for you. And there's a really funny moment where Aqua starts crying because she's feeling all the emotions. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, I'm leaking salt water. I'm falling apart." And she's like, "No, like, those are tears. Like, I guess you wouldn't have those in the ocean." And she goes, "Oh my gosh," like, starts freaking out. And it's just really funny. So then we cut to Claire, and she is going to find Raymond. And we find out Cecilia's having this like pool party before the last splash. Okay, it's like a little pre-party. So she goes to Cecilia's house, and Raymond's hanging out in the hot tub with Cecilia, and we're like, "What the heck's going on?" And she's like, "Raymond, like, what the heck? Like, you asked Aqua, and now all of a sudden you're going with Cecilia?" And Cecilia starts like trying to take control of the situation. So she like calls over one of her friends and is like, "Oh, this little girl wants to go in the pool," because this guy was throwing people in the pool. And so he picks up Claire, and Claire starts like losing her mind. And this is where Raymond sees Cecilia's true colors.
Yes.
Cecilia makes a comment about how Claire was being dramatic for like screaming about being thrown in the pool. She's just trying to get attention. And Raymond claps back, "No, I think that's your job, Cecilia." And you're just like,
please.
"Dang, he read her for
Please.
filth."
Please.
We find out that Cecilia actually lied to Raymond. So at the street fair, when Cecilia goes up to Raymond after Aqua and the girlies have to leave, she tells Raymond, "Hey, like, just so you know, the reason Aqua has to get out of here is because she has a date with her boyfriend."
Yes.
And so
She's a
then
liar.
she asks Raymond, like, "Well, do you want to go to the last splash with me?" And so this whole time,
We knew she was scheming.
Raymond thought that Aqua had a boyfriend. And so Claire just clears that up right quick. And then he's like, hey, like, can you help me find Aqua?
Yeah.
Like, I need to make things right. So then we cut to Claire's house where Haley and Aqua are hanging out. Aqua's having her classic sad, the boy doesn't love me moment where she's in
Yes.
her in the bathtub
With the
with the
bubbles.
bubbles and the Ben and Jerry's fish food and her salt. And she's just like, I don't need Raymond. I have 2 other loves, and their names are Ben and Jerry. And it's just so iconic, and I'm pretty sure this movie is the reason why I loved fish food.
Yes.
Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Yes.
And it actually is very elite. It's very good. But I'm pretty
Now
sure
I
I
want
only
some.
tried it because of this movie.
100%.
So Claire is then leading Raymond up. She's like, oh, I think she's in my room. And Haley and Aqua like freak out because they're like, oh my God, they're coming in. So Claire opens the door and Raymond goes, oh, I'm sorry, because Aqua's just in the bath and we just see feet hanging over the side of the bath because Haley jumped in the bathtub
Yes.
to cover her tail. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I just wanted to talk to you. And so then they recover from the situation and Raymond and Aqua are able to have their conversation. And he says, no, like, I definitely want to take you to the last splash. Like, of course.
You were my first choice, baby
You were
girl.
my first baby girl. I told you, you're not like other girlies.
I thought it was so cute whenever Haley had to hop in and like pretend to be Aqua's feet. But also I was confused. Like, can she not control her tail? Like, can she not like move her tail down? Like hide
To
it
hide
in the
it?
water?
Well, that's what I was wondering because she had to have done that because her tail was like so
Up in the
big.
air.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and then all of a sudden, like,
Where did it go?
like,
It makes no sense.
I liked it though. It was cute. It was cute. But
It was
like,
a cute
it didn't
moment.
make
It was a
sense.
cute moment.
Just don't think about it too hard because it's a kid's movie. All right. Well, it is time for the last splash. It has finally arrived, the last splash of the summer. And we see Raymond is kind of engaging in a wholesome game of toss the water balloon. But he quickly gets distracted as soon as Aqua arrives. She is rocking the new vintage dress that she just bought. She is rocking crimped hair. And when Raymond spots her, he is so distracted, he gets disqualified from the water balloon toss because it ends up splashing on him and breaking completely. The way, though, that he is looking at Aqua as she descends down the stairs, it is giving a groom seeing his bride for the first time. The slow-mo, the drama. I
The
thought
lip
this man
bites.
was going to cry. The lip bites, please. Like, literally, he was like getting so emotional. Like, wow, this is the most
She's
beautiful
stunning.
person I've ever seen. But then he goes up to her and he's like, you're really pretty. So Raymond and Aqua go inside to the little cafe where Aqua begins to put a bunch of salt in her water because she's feeling a little bit nervous about this date with Raymond. She's feeling a little flustered. And he decides, you know what? I'll bite. I'll try that. Like, I want to impress this girl. Like, she likes salt in her water. I could maybe like salt in my water too. Tell me why this man doesn't just do like a little like splash of salt. No, he puts like about the same amount that she does and she pours it in.
Like he put at least 3 tablespoons.
Yes. Of salt into the small glass
Into the
of water.
smallest glass of water you've ever seen. It was half salt.
It did not dissolve. And instead of just taking a little baby sip to try something new, man fully commits and is taking this thing like it's a shot. And of course, naturally, he begins to gag and spit up on himself.
The way I can taste that. Like I can feel it.
I know. Oh my gosh. If you've ever like
Had to gargle with salt water.
Yes, I was gonna say gargle with salt water, or ever been where you're swimming like in the ocean or like a maybe like a saltwater pool and you accidentally get some water up your nose. It is the worst.
Yeah.
And this man just downed some.
I used to have to always do like saltwater gargles. Maybe that's why I'm so triggered by this part of the movie. Because I would get like strep throat a lot, and you're supposed to do those like gargles.
Yeah.
It is the most. Some people it doesn't bother them.
No.
For me, it like triggers my gag reflex like intensely.
Same reaction as Raymond.
Yeah,
Spit up on himself.
literally me. When my mom's like, "You have to do it," I'm.
There's something charming about this date that they're on though, because each one of them are constantly stepping outside of their comfort zone. So you see him do that.
It's so sweet.
It's so wholesome. You see him do that with the water, and then we see Claire and Haley bribe the band with a giant piece of cake. and asks them to play Island in the Sun, which is one of Raymond's favorite songs.
It's his absolute all-time favorite song.
Of course he loves Island, and the lifeguard loves Island in the Sun by Weezer. So the band starts the song up. Of course, he's like, oh my gosh, like, we have to go dance. And Aqua's like, I've never danced before. And he's like, it's okay. I'll show you.
Don't worry, I'm a pro.
He's like, don't worry, I'll show you. He actually at least admits, no, I'm not very good either. So he starts moving, and he's all right.
It's pretty
with his
unhinged
little
looking.
white boy moves.
But they're not even that. He's just like, it's like, are you okay?
What is this dancing, actually? Aqua just decides to fully commit. Instead of just starting off with some basic moves, she just starts jolting her body in ways that I didn't know was possible.
It's giving the hair flip that she did earlier.
Yes.
But full body.
They're not judging each other for experiencing first. And instead, he takes it as a moment to be like, hey, well, you know what? Let me help you a little more.
Let's reel that in.
He's trying to help her with her dancing. He's like, okay, what do I know about? I know about the ocean. He's like, okay, have you ever spent any time in the ocean? And of course, her response is like, a little, not too much.
The ocean? What's that?
She doesn't want to give away too much because she's afraid that, her spending any time in the ocean will immediately make him think that she's a mermaid. And
as it should.
So he's like, you know what? Just like, listen to the song and pretend like, the ocean waves are taking you and you're just kind of gently swaying and moving throughout it. And so that helps Aqua kind of like, okay, figure out this dancing thing. She's like, I can kind of do this move. And so they end up dancing and they're dancing
so
to
cute.
Island in the Sun. It's so wholesome. It's so cute. It's the epitome of summertime and first love and crushes. It's everything.
So gorgeous.
We see her nails start to change color to pink because she's feeling in love. She's never seen this nail color until recently when she got here and started to interact with Raymond. So she is just...
Her finger scales.
Her finger scales. Yeah, they're not fingernails. They're finger scales. So the sun is quickly setting on this date and Aqua needs to get out of here. The next thing she ends up pulling together, when I was a kid, I was like, this is the epitome of Riz. Like, this is like the kind of confidence that I think I'm going to have around boys. So she is talking with Ray and she wants to make things, hopefully a little smoother this time. But she's like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. And he's like, no, like stay. We can watch the fireworks. Like, don't go. Like, it's gonna be like, we're having so much fun. Like, why do you have to go? Like, what can I say to make you stay? And she's like, you can tell me. You can tell me. Meanwhile, Claire and Haley are like, come on, Aqua, we gotta go. Because they know
also don't be asking him if he loves you again.
Yeah, like it's too much. Like, she's gonna pop a tail any second, okay? So they're like, we gotta get out of here. And so she looks to Raymond and she's like, you can tell me. She leans in, she smacks one on his lip, she kisses him and says, you can tell me how this made you feel. So she's like, meet me at the pier tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Tell me how this makes you feel. And then at that moment, Raymond popped a tail.
Please. Please. Please.
As Megan would say. Popping a tail.
So she ends up back at the water
have you
tower.
ever just popped a tail after someone kissed you?
So she ends up watching the fireworks from the water tower, and he ends up watching, the fireworks from the lifeguard tower. And you pointed this out, Maddie, but the song that plays in the background here is...
I swear, I was like, this is the most romantic song. It used to give me goosebumps.
The lead line in the chorus is like, do you want to be my one and only love? And that just kind of repeats over and over as they're like both watching the fireworks from different locations, just like reminiscing on the most perfect night that they just had the last flash. So Cecilia gets curious and decides to follow Aqua, Claire, and Haley to the water tower. And she's like putting this all together, like, what is going on? Like,
why are they here?
Why are they at a water tower? She's watching as they go up. She's like, does she live in this water tower? Like, what the heck? This is weird. I need to investigate this. Her friends that are with her in the car could not be like less interested. They're like, oh, I just want to go back to the last splash. They're about to do the fireworks. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I want to go back to the party. Like, we're missing everything, Cecilia. Like, why are we here? And then Cecilia delivers, they are just also mean to each other.
They're so mean.
She delivers a very 2000s burn where she's making fun of her friend for how many corn dogs she ate at the fair.
She literally says, and I quote, Patty, can you put away the negativity like you put away those corn dogs at the street fair last night?
Please!
And you're like... And Patty goes, I only had 2.
I only had 2 corn dogs, please. That's so 2000s. Oh, the body shaming in the 2000s
Not the
was
body shaming.
unhinged.
For the corn dogs. Those fair corn dogs can be small.
So Cecilia's like,
Also
whatever.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. So Cecilia's like, I am going to grab a flashlight and I'm going to go investigate this. And her friends are like sitting there and not very good friends. None of them are being good friends to each other, but they take her car and they go back to the party.
Honestly, at some point in the film, I start to feel bad for Cecilia because I'm like, I feel like she's just neglected.
And that's why she wants all this attention.
And that's why her behaviors are, you understand them. You understand them a little bit.
So she climbs up the water tower with this flashlight that she pulled out of the trunk of her car and ends up spotting Aqua in the water tower and sees that she has a tail. And so she begins to freak out and panic because she's like, oh my gosh, she's a mermaid. She's a mermaid. She closes the water tower, locks her in there, begins to climb down. She sees her friends are gone. They've left her. And she's like, you know what? Sometimes you got to take things into your own hands. So, as we mentioned earlier, we saw the screw was loose on the ladder, and Cecilia experienced that on the way down. She almost fell to her death.
Literally.
She was able to lean the ladder safely forward and climb back down, but she used the loose ladder to her advantage and ended up pushing it down and pulling it out of the way. That way, Aqua could not get down from the water tower. She was trapped. She was devising a plan. She ends up walking back all the way to the last splash, which we don't know how long of a walk.
We don't know how far that was.
We don't know. I'm assuming not that far because it seemed like maybe Claire, Haley, and Aqua
small
walked
town,
there.
yeah.
Or they biked there at least.
They biked there, so it's probably not that far of a walk.
Gets back and she is trying to get into the last splash. Doesn't have her badge or whatever, like her stamp, and they're not letting her in. But her friends are coming out. She's like, "Oh my gosh, thank goodness! Like I need to talk to you." Also, rude, you left me there,
and you stole my car.
You stole my car, and I had to walk all the way here. But B, more importantly, Aqua is a mermaid. And her friends are like, what? You sound crazy, Cecilia. Because we just have these boys behind us and we're just trying to go make out with them right now or something. And
sorry, you sound insane.
You sound so crazy. But as Cecilia is going on this rant about Aqua being a mermaid and living in the water tower, Leonard.
Remember Crazy Leonard,
who also found the charm in the bottom of the pool? He is overhearing this conversation. And so he starts brewing.
He's piecing things together. Leonard is a smart cookie.
He goes back to his little house, and we see he has some books on mermaids. He's opening them up.
As he should.
As one does. And he finds that same little pendant that he found in the water, a picture of it in this book about mermaids. And he's like, oh my gosh, maybe she's not lying. Maybe she really is a mermaid. And she's in the water tower. And so I guess he decides that he is going to go and check things out over there and check on Aqua. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, at this point, he didn't know that Cecilia took down the ladder. So what was his plan originally?
He probably just, like we said, the town doesn't seem that big. He probably just went to the water tower, saw that there was no ladder.
Yeah.
And then went back home and grabbed a ladder.
Yeah. So he ends up, it was great that he overheard this conversation because Leonard ends up helping Aqua. And in turn, Aqua ends up helping Leonard find love with someone else that works at the club.
We love to see it.
Because as we know, mermaids give wishes. And I guess their wishes are more powerful than genies in Disney movies because they can make people fall in love.
Which we love that for them.
But meanwhile, Cecilia doesn't know that Leonard has went and helped save Aqua. And it isn't fully revealed to us either. So Cecilia devises a plan to expose Aqua at the water tower. So the next morning, she tells her dad, hey, Daddy.
Who, by the way, we didn't fully mention earlier, but he's the local weatherman.
Yes. He's a reporter for the local news. And so she's like, hey, Daddy, I was on my run this morning and I heard some screams coming from the water tower. I think there's a girl trapped in there.
She's trapped.
And the dad looks at her like, did you call the police? And she goes, well, no, I wanted to tell you first.
I wanted you to be first on the scene, Dad.
She was like, Dad, I wanted you to give you
report.
The inside scoop. And the dad's like, all right, this will be great for my career. I can finally have a real story.
I can finally get out of this town and make it to the big time news.
So the dad's like, all right, I'm going to take this opportunity. So he's out reporting on the scene. They've got the fire department, all the police there. They're digging in the water tower. And they go, we got something. We got something. And Cecilia, you can see it. She's like, yes,
She's like, heck yeah.
heck yes. I've got her. I've got her live on TV right now. She's about to be exposed. And then the fire department just ends up pulling out the inflatable dolphin that Raymond gave her at the fair.
They're like, we got something. We got something.
And that's all it is. The dad is furious with Cecilia because she just embarrassed him on live TV.
And she starts losing her mind. She's like, no, she's up there. She's up there. The mermaid.
She's like, they know, because Claire and Haley are at the scene because at this point they don't know that Aqua is safe and sound. And so they're like, oh my gosh, we have to help her. And so Cecilia's pointing at Claire and Haley being like, they know she's a mermaid. She's losing her mind on TV. And then that's when it cuts to like, you see Aqua is safe at Leonard's and they're laughing at Cecilia losing her mind on TV. Oh my gosh, how could I forget this detail that Maddie just reminded me of? The classic friendship fight.
We had to have it. You have to have it in every teen movie.
So before Claire and Haley get to the
scene of the crime.
the scene of the crime, they are actually deep in a fight about what they're going to use their wish for if it is to come true.
Haley begins to reconsider after many conversations and overhearing people talking to her mom about her new opportunity and the grant that she's gotten to do this research that she's just dreamed about. And so she wakes up on that last day feeling a bit guilty and feeling like, you know what? I'm the one that's being selfish in this situation. And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for my mom. But oh shoot, I've got to tell Claire now.
Yeah.
And Claire freaks out and they just have this big fight.
And Claire is like, you can't leave me. I'll be all alone. And Haley's like, you know what? Like, you gotta like work through that basically. Like you were alone when I got here. Like, she's honestly throwing some.
Honestly, they're both throwing some truth bombs on each other. Can I speak? They're both throwing some truth bombs on each other. And it was needed.
It was needed. It was needed. It was needed to like shake things up a little bit and for both of them to have really good realizations at the end of the day that Haley was being a little selfish with this opportunity that her mom's worked very, very hard for. And that B, at the end of the day, Claire will be okay. And that Claire is starting to come into her own more and find a lot of strength. But the situation on the news is what ends up pulling them out of this fight. And they end up going to the scene.
So after Cecilia's freak out and they figure out, okay, Aqua's not here, we've got to go to the pier because that's where Aqua and Raymond are supposed to meet. And we got to see if our plan worked. Like, this is the moment. Aqua's about to ask Raymond if he loves her. And did they prove to Aqua's dad that love is real? Claire and Haley are underneath the pier because they're like, we got to hear this conversation. So they're walking with them underneath the pier as Aqua and Raymond are walking down the pier and having this conversation. And Aqua finally lays it out there. She asks Raymond, like, do you love me? And he's like, I mean, I just don't think it's been enough time. Like, I really like you. Like, I want to continue to see where things go. But, like, no, like, I don't love you. Like, I've only known you for, like, 24 hours. Like,
We've gone on, like, one official
We've been
date.
on, like, 1.5 dates. Like, ma'am, like, you got to chill out with this. Like, I still want to see you, but, like, it's a little much. And this is when Cecilia shows back up on the scene. And she ends up pushing Aqua into the ocean off of the pier and says, why don't you come back from where you, like, go back to where you came from? And it's like, ma'am, problematic.
Please.
And pushes Aqua into the water and she pops a tail. Okay, so Raymond sees like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? And because Aqua's back in the ocean, her dad's like, all right, time's up. Like,
time to pull you back in.
And so a storm starts a brewing and the water starts just, what do you call that? Like
it was like a whirlpool was being created.
Yes.
The storm clouds came in. It was just crazy weather. And she's quite literally being like sucked back into the ocean.
And at this point, Raymond's like, oh my gosh, I've got to save her.
Yeah.
I don't think he's noticed the tail yet. Did he notice the tail yet?
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say if he noticed the tail yet. But he's like, oh my gosh, I gotta go get my board. So he like runs back to his lifeguard tower to go get his whatever he needs. And it's like, if she wasn't a mermaid, she'd probably be dead already. But nice try, Raymond. And it's at this moment where Haley and Claire really show up for Aqua. And Haley's like, I gotta jump in. Like, I gotta save her. And Claire goes, no, not without me.
Which is a huge
Which is a
moment for Claire.
huge moment for Claire. Also very dumb that she chose to jump into the water for the first time after years of not swimming during a whirlpool and all the waves and the storms. But you know what? We love that for her.
Oh, she said no baby steps, just all
no
in.
baby steps. I'm just gonna go for it. And so they jump into the water together, and they were like, we're gonna like meet you at the buoy. They like swim out to the buoy, like Aqua hangs on, and she's like, girls, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you here? Like, oh my goodness. Like, and at this point, Megan pointed out while we were watching that they're all talking at different volumes. Like, this major storm's going on. Emma Roberts as Claire is yelling at the top of her lungs, like literally the most unhinged like volume. Aqua's like kind of
She's speaking very quiet and like very somber. Like, we're having a very sweet moment here. Like, we're having this moment. And then JoJo is speaking at like a normal speaking volume. Like, quite honestly, I blame the director in this moment. Like, it's none of the girls.
No. But it's like,
it
why
wasn't
are we
clear direction of like what
how
they're
loud
supposed
is
to be
it?
doing.
Yeah,
And
how loud is our environment?
to
like
be fair, Emma Roberts, like, I know you like she was yelling, but like if the storm was that loud,
no, she was in the right.
they would have to be yelling.
They would
to
have
hear
to
each
be
other.
yelling. Like hers, I didn't notice it as much because I was like, that's believable.
Yes.
So they're just having this moment where Aqua's like, why did you girls do this? Like, it's dangerous. Like, this is so dangerous. And she goes, well, I guess, Aqua, it's just because we love you.
Yes.
And then Aqua starts crying happy tears. And she goes, you leak when you're happy too? And as the tear hits the ocean water, the storm calms. They go, what happened? And Aqua goes, girls, like, you proved to my dad that love does exist. It was the friendship all along. The friendship was the love they needed.
Oh my gosh. Which this
Girls supporting girls.
this scene right here, it just like solidifies this that as a movie that is just it's the epitome of summertime and friendship, truly. And
Yes.
just girlhood. And it's so
beautiful.
wholesome.
It's beautiful and wholesome. And
I guess they have no kind of love in the ocean at all.
I
Apparently
guess
not even
parents don't
friendship.
even love their kids. I don't know. And it's at this point that Aqua reveals that she was always meant to be a mermaid.
Yeah.
Like, she was never wanting to be human.
Mm-mm.
And this just feels like deceit on the biggest level because, ma'am, I need to have a real conversation. You were trying to play with someone's emotions to get them to fall in love with you for you to just up and leave them.
Yes. She was always going to leave
She
Raymond.
was always going to leave Raymond, okay? That was never going to work out. But she just was like, it's fine. Which further proves my thesis on that Aquamarine is a narcissist. And thank you for coming to our TED Talk about that. But, okay, so the storm has calmed, and finally Raymond shows up. Where have you been? Okay, paddles out. And they just have a moment where she's like, hey, you're a cool dude, basically. Thanks for the good times.
I gotta go. I'm a
But
mermaid.
I'm a mermaid. Gotcha.
He's like, yeah, I see that.
He's like, nice tail.
And they
She's
make
like, back at you. Sorry. We did not mention this before. But every time she sprouts a tail, like spontaneously when she's not expecting it, where are her clothes going?
Oh, yeah, because she had a full dress
She
on.
had a full dress on.
And when she got pulled into the ocean, her dress disappeared.
yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. I don't know where it went. Maybe it got sucked off, too. Like, it just, like, when it...
She popped a tail and got sucked off.
The dress was caught in the whirlpool and ripped off. But
I mean, that would be logical.
there's a lot of things that you don't put on your logic hat. You just put on your feelings hat, okay?
So, yeah. So then they have this conversation where he's like, well, I don't know if I can, can we talk still? Like,
can I
what's
take you
going
out?
on? Yeah. And they just kind of make a vague plan of like, oh, I'll meet you someday.
Meet you someday in Fiji. Very non-committal. Maybe one day I'll see you in Fiji.
And Aqua doesn't like Raymond.
No.
It's very clear.
Yeah, she has a merman in her mind. Or
Yeah.
yeah.
So, someone, not the one that she was arranged, the arranged marriage situation, but there's someone back home.
There has to be.
Because she was like,
merman.
they need me back home. And I'm like, who needs you?
Not your dad.
Not
You
your
have a very
dad.
good relationship with him. It
You
seems
guys
like
don't
you'd
seem
ready
to be vibing.
Yeah.
So who is it?
Because she says I need to go back and like clear the waters with my dad, but I'm like,
Do you really? Because you were just yelling at him. I feel like you don't like him that much.
So the movie is coming to an end, and we see that Haley is finally feeling at peace about the move. Claire is starting to come into her own, and Aqua is peaced out of here. She's on her way back in the ocean.
She said, bye, sorry about it.
Raymond goes over to the girls to like thank them for all that they did for Aqua and how brave they were and gives them little kisses on the cheek, which is just very wholesome and appropriate for their little age gap.
And I like how the girls react. Like, they don't hide their reactions at all of like how stoked they are. They're
They
like,
are fangirling.
Like,
They're
it
like
is-
screaming and holding their cheeks. Like, did he just do that? Did that just happen? Is this really the perfect summer ever? And that kind of wraps things up for us. The girls, we see them kind of giggling, running on the beach, and having discussions about like, wait, so do we get our wish? What are we going to wish for? What are we going
what's
to
our
use
wish
it
gonna
on?
be?
I think they loosely like talk about like maybe money. So they can like afford flights to see each other because
Which honestly,
flights are
Slay, that would
expensive.
be my wish.
And I'm like, I kind of need a follow up on this now.
I need a follow up. I also need to meet a mermaid so that I can get a wish and also be wealthy.
You have to help the mermaid first, though.
I'd be willing to do that.
There are a few things that stuck with me over the years. It's A, that blue highlights are everything.
We need them. We actually need them.
B, do I need to be eating gummy worms all the time? Because I
Dude,
eat so many gummy worms in this movie.
The gummy worms look so good. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, oh, I really want some gummy worms.
Oh my gosh. And C, I really need to take a t-shirt and turn it into like a dress.
I feel like I can do it. I feel like I can do it. I know
Aquamarine
I
style.
can't, but I feel like I can do it.
If we really wanted to commit to the bit, we would be wearing t-shirt dresses today.
I know.
Oh, and the starfish earrings. How did I forget about those? I mean, I'm wearing star-shaped earrings today as an homage, and also I'm doing a little headband in my hair out of a scarf as an homage to the very Y2K look that Cecilia rocks.
It's a slay. It's really good.
Any other final thoughts?
No, other than if you haven't watched this movie or you haven't watched it in a long time, I actually do recommend it. It's a great summertime movie.
It's wholesome.
Get some of your girlfriends, get the girlies over, and just enjoy it. Or, I mean, if you're a dude, you can enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Whatever. Whoever you are.
It's
I think it's a cute movie.
It's a very cute, wholesome movie. It's a great way to kick off summer.
Summer, yeah.
And the soundtrack. Yes.
School is out, the sun is shining, summertime.
The soundtrack
It's so
is
good.
fire.
It's so good.
Okay, there is one final thought that I want to wrap up with. The end credit songs, the last two, I had no idea that these were included. Time for Me to Fly by the Jonas Brothers from their first album with a very, very fetus Nicholas Jonas singing the song.
Nicholas.
And An Island in the Sun cover by Emma Roberts, which just brought back the memory of Unfabulous.
Yeah.
And I need to watch the show again. If
If
you know, you know. That should be a deep dive we do another time. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Fuzzy Pod. Thank
was
you
a long
for
one.
being here. This was a long one. There was a lot to say about this movie. We hold this movie very dearly. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to leave us a comment, like the video, leave a rating and review.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram as well at the Fuzzy Pod. And if you haven't joined us over on Patreon, head on over there. Check it out. We'd love to have you a part of that community as well.
Yes, we're about to share our second bonus episode coming up this Monday. Thank you again for listening, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.